to work on our yellow again. And we're gonna, well, let's do that again clean, all right, and action. Okay, time to work on our, oh, I have the mic on first. Yes. All right. Take the brush out, bring it in, action. Time to work on our yellow. And I got a brand new yellow that I stuck in my old crusty paint box. And I'm going for a thin mixture. Remember, we work light to dark. The lightest color has got more water and less paint. Darker mixtures has got more paint and less water. And I'm going to test it on my little towel. That's pretty good. I like that. And then I'm going to bring it over to my painting. And you might remember I mapped out my yellow. And now I'm going to go for a thicker. Oh, that's good. Little dots. I'm not trying to draw every part of the leaf. I'm just trying to make it look like there's lots of leaves there. Action. All right, more yellow. Take your time. People paint too fast when they first start. You gotta go slow. Think it out. Da Vinci called drawing and painting form of thought. Sometimes you spend more time thinking about it than you do painting it. Yes. And travel around the whole picture. Don't get stuck in one spot. The painting is like a mobile. You change one spot, everything changes. Alright. See, my mixture is very light now. It's probably 80% water, 20% paint. Light to dark. If you remember that one thing, I gotta go back. Action. Alright, time to reload. Maybe a little more water. Oh, sorry. A little water in there. Drop it on my paper towel. See what it looks like. Okay. Time to reload. Put a little more color on there. See what it looks like on the paper towel. See how much water is in the mixture. I'm just gonna, okay, and move it out. Painting is like being a bit of a... Okay. And then, action. To be a painter is to be a bit like a scientist or a chemist. You've got to get your formulas. In the old days, they taught the arts and the sciences side by side. So this yellow is the last leaves that are remaining on the trees right before the snow. And see here I've got some really light yellow, and now it's time to put a little thicker concentration in there so it's varied. And don't overpaint. You can always come back and add more. Knowing when to stop is one of the hardest things to learn. But now we go for the wide shot and just do some action. Link it, take the brush out, action. Okay, I'm going to start using a heavier concentration of yellow, which is more paint and less water. Right now in this brush, it's probably 60% paint and 40% water. And that way I'm going to put stronger doses, stronger tonal values. And you don't just work on the paper one way. Feel free to turn it around. The classic exercise is to turn it upside down even. That way you don't get stuck in the big lines and you can look at it from all angles. And again, I got nice light yellow here and there, but now I'm going to put stronger concentration so it stands out. It's got rhythm in it, just like music. If you just heard the same note over and over, it would be noise. But when you have lots of notes, it becomes music. Alright, let's see.
Always cut your mouth out in case we have to insert, you know what I mean?
Sure. Oh, I know. It's amazing when you can do it with one camera.
And action.
I think I've put enough yellow in it for now. I mean, now it's time to go to a thick concentration of color, less water, and a thinner brush. We're going to treat the water like the brush like a pencil or a pen. Sometimes it's a mop, sometimes it's a sponge, but now it's a fine point instrument.
That brush.
All right, the thin brush. This is how you finish a picture like this off. It's like a
I
pencil.
lost my focus. Just move it back like that. And action.
I think this brush is a number 1 or a 0. They come down to as far as 000. The thin brush. This is for establishing line quality. We're going to use a thick mixture, probably 60% paint, 40% water, so we make a heavy line. Alright, I got a wonderful umber up here. Umber is a great color because it's not black. It works like that. It creates the dark shadows, but it's not black. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to put a little bit of red in it because I'm going to use this color to make leaves and forest debris. Then I'm going to come down to here and I'm going to see what I made. Let's see. Ooh, that's nice and thick. Practice making really thin lines. See how thin you can make. Alright, so I'm going to practice making a leaf here. Something like this. A bit of a texture to the ground. And then I can always go back with just a little bit of water and spread them out. I call this the massage technique. And this is how I recommend, this is how I'm going to finish my forest ground and develop my trees.
Alright, let me get extreme close up. Alright, and just in other words, so I just want you to say that over again.
Alright.
But I want you to start it from the, can you...
New piece of paper?
No, not a new piece of paper, I'm just trying to connect it. Would you have to reload that brush in any way?
Yeah,
Alright, I'm gonna do... Alright, start with its glass here.
Alright, I need a little water, back to my umber, my red, mixing my formula, mostly paint, very little water, testing it, very thick. I think I'm ready to go.
Okay, action.
Alright, I mean I got a lot of nice brown lines working for me, but I need the dark ones to help the ones that are already there. And this is what I call the light touch. Barely touching the paint brush to the paper. Like a butterfly was landing on your arm, and the butterfly is so light and delicate you don't feel it. You don't want the heavy touch, that's for other things. And again, travel through the whole picture. Don't get stuck in one spot. Light lines.
You can look at the little screen too.
I try to, but it's
It's too hard, man.
it's a little
So you have to
weird.
establish it.
I'm working on it. I mean, maybe with a little practice. All the way across. Here.
Let me just get on this side. That's probably better. Let me say, we'll just Which area are you gonna work next?
Just working this part.
Let me just focus on it and action.
Alright, work on the whole picture all at once. It's always good to practice how thin of a line you can make. I call these gesture lines. I'm not trying to draw exactly what the tree looks like. That's not important. But I am trying to make you get a feel for the tree of where it is, what size it is. Giving information without a lot of detail. Reload the brush. Test it on your scrap paper. And when is enough enough? When do you say, oh, that's enough? If you start to think that way, you're at that point. Stop, step back, take your time and look at it. Now I'm working on my leaves that are poking out of the ground and traveling through my snow. One of the biggest things you can learn is not to overpaint. Everybody seems to overpaint. And now I've taken some of the red out. I'm going to go for the darkest final layer of contrast. And remember my massage technique that I talked about, where I just go back with water? Because that's a hard, heavy line. And I want that hard, heavy line, but I want it to blend in softly. So I just paint with water. And I go back and I massage the line and work off of it. And just, where does it need it? So much of painting and drawing is looking for the potential in things. Seeing what can be done. Little light ones. That one needs a little more. See, I just kind of looks like it's broken off. By putting a dark one in front of the light one, I create depth. It's an illusion. Art's a bit like being a magician. We trick the viewer. And this one needs a little more to lock it into the ground. Get some grass-like strokes. This is early winter, late fall. All the grass is dead and dried out.
So,
Get some of my umber. Get some of my red.
all right, 3 more times.
Use a few colors well, rather than a lot of colors poorly.
I cut. Now let me get a really tight one on this red. And let me get the umber first. Go. Use some of my umber.
Use some of my umber. Very important color to learn to use.
Pause. And then that's red. This
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And then go in and
Put some of my red. Mix it with my umber. Use the colors carefully.
yeah.
Alright, this painting's almost there. Maybe just a few little hairlines there. I'm going from my darkest color, my final layer of contrast. The darkest things tend to be the closest to you. And by putting those way up front, you create contrast. I could put a little more darker blue here later or in a minute, and that'll help it too. You don't just work one direction in the painting, you work backwards and forwards. And light lines, that's what you have to practice. Drawing the thinnest, lightest lines possible. That way you control the brush and you know what it's going to do.
Let me get a wide one, just keep working it.
Alright. Go back to my blue. Well, establish the line, come back with some water, develop it. Half a painting is just setting yourself up for the next color or the next stroke. It's like chess, always trying to think ahead.
Alright, cut.
Okay, here we go. Get some, load the brush with blue. Test it on the scrap paper.
Wait a minute, load the brush again.
Okay, here we go. Load the brush with blue.
Pause, and then
Let's test it on the scrap paper and see what we got. I could add a little more water to it.
alright, stand by. Just bring it in. Bring it in.
So I'd load the brush up with water
Then what?
and just touch it to the blue.
Touch it to the, which blue? This one?
This one, yeah.
Touch it to the blue.
Just touch it slightly.
And
Then I'll bring it down to the paper. Yeah, that's thinner. That's what I want. Thinner is more water, less paint.
let me just get a macro. Action.
Alright, I'm just going to go back and with my softer, lighter blue, come back and dance around my dark colors.
Action.
Alright, a little darker blue in here.
Just continue to blue it up and I'll just pick off some shots.
Try to make the longest, most careful, and most elegant strokes possible. Long, all the way across the page if you can. That's it, I gotta tighten these.
Action.
Alright, I think what this picture needs is a little bit of orange in the leaves. I'm gonna mix these two together. And I'm going to come down to my scrap paper and see what I got. Ooh, that's very thick. I'm going to add a little water to my brush. And I can mix it right here. This piece of paper is my palette. And that's a little better because I want some light and dark together.
Action.
Alright, these are the brown orange leaves falling to the ground. And like I said, I got thick, it's kind of like it's a thin mixture, but if I pause here for a second, then it's a thicker concentration. If I spread it out, then it gets thinner. And I've got a medium-sized brush now. And just where does it need it? Where does it need a little help? Where does it need to pop out a little bit? I like the orange in the tree. Long strokes. Start one.
Bring it down and hit it.
Start it right up here and work it all the way down. massage it out. This one needs a little bit. Some of these orange leaves in the back. Because the yellow leaves, I mean, it's a maple leaf, so some of them have a bit of orange. But like I said, the challenge is not to overpaint. To paint just enough. And I said, the painting is like a mobile. Work on the whole thing all at once. Don't get stuck in one spot.
Action.
Like I said, the painting, like I've said many
Don't
times.
say like I said.
All right.
Just say the painting.
It's very important to remember that the painting is like a mobile. One piece that you develop, one bit of color here and there affects the piece of color or what you've developed on the other side. Work on the whole thing all at once. Don't get stuck in one spot.
Action.
All right, I think this painting is done. And it's a very difficult question people often ask. When is it done? And my answer is, again, the painting is like a mobile. It shouldn't be, but it's a mobile that's still. So I, as the viewer, look at the painting and see if there are any parts that are still moving and seeing for parts that lack full potential, and then I would say it's done. And then be proud of your pictures, even if it's one you're not pleased with. It's a building block to a better one in the future.
Action.
Like I say, be proud of what you've done. And everybody's got their own signature. But it's important to sign it with a brush. And some people put the day, I just put the year. 2002. Good painting. Enjoy yourself. It's too bad. It should always be a neat one,
Action.
Alright, I painted this picture for one of my favorite people and best friends, Mary Jane. Who's going to take us out with one of my favorite songs, the Beer Barrel Polka.
work. Wait a minute, action. Good. Click. Nod your head more. You too, Paul. Keep playing. Keep playing. Keep that finger going.